What makes the game great is the tradition. What makes the game great is that it's so similar to the game 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years ago. And that allows people to have generational conversations about the game. But at the same time, we need to keep the game relevant. We need to adapt the game. So it's that fine line, it's that balancing act of how do we respect that tradition, but still adapt, evolve, and attract the next generation of fans.
With the exception of opening day and a limited number of marquee series throughout the baseball season, finding a seat at Progressive Field is not difficult. The Cleveland Indians have been at or near the bottom of home attendance throughout all of Major League Baseball in recent years. However, the Indians are in the process of creating what they believe will be a more enjoyable game day experience for its fan base by transforming pieces and parts of Progressive Field, all in hopes that their renovations will spark an uptick in fan interest.
Whether it's through a ballpark renovation, whether it's through on-field rules, that's the balancing act that we need to continue to walk. We need to be cognizant and aware of where our fan base is going and where it will go as your and my kids start to grow up and spend time here. But we also need to understand that, you know, a differentiator for us is that we cherish tradition and we celebrate tradition and heritage.
21 years have passed since the Indians swung open the gates to a brand new Jacobs Field. At the time, the Indians' new home was the precursor of Major League Baseball's renaissance of newly crafted ballparks, an intimate gathering place tucked into a downtown nook to celebrate America's national pastime.
Well hit to left field. Back goes Anthony. It's over his head and off the wall. Two-run double. We're back to 2-all. Base hit to left field. The Indians win.
In Cleveland, it was the perfect mix of a sparkling new home for a talented roster in a city starved for a winner. Within 2 seasons, the Indians were in the World Series, and home sellouts were an every night occurrence.
It's a drive to right field, well hit, way back, it's going, it's out of here. The Indians win it in the 9th. A home run for Paul Torreno.
Jacobs Field was the place to be if you were fortunate enough to secure a ticket. The Indians sold out 455 consecutive games between June of 1995 and the start of the 01 season.
I would say this to you, that even over 20, 21 years, I've always felt people just have that type of feeling about Progressive Field, that it is, you know, something that is very important to them. I always say it's a crown jewel of Northeast Ohio, and it's certainly one of the most important things that we have within the Indians, the oversight. And we look at it as one of our 4 guiding commitments is just to sustain and enhance, you know, Progressive Field.
Last May, Cuyahoga voters went to the polls to vote on the hotly debated Issue 7 renewal levy. The levy, if passed, was to extend the sin tax on cigarettes and alcohol to fund the capital repairs necessary to maintain the health of Cleveland's 3 professional publicly owned sports facilities. And pass it did. However, this current renovation of Progressive Field is completely independent of any public monies. It's all privately funded.
There are a lot of great things we all agreed upon. It was more, where do we spend the money? You know, what has the biggest impact? What will fans appreciate the most?
For the naysayers of the Progressive Field renovation who prefer the money to be better spent on improving the product on the field and not the building around it, think again.
I think maybe the biggest misperception is, you know, the amount of money this project would be if that was put towards a contract. You know, if that was let's say hypothetically, a 4-year contract for a free agent. You know, the type of free agent this would have gotten for a 4-year contract would have been maybe a middle reliever. So, you know, that's the reality of what player costs are. So for one, you know, even if we say there aren't different buckets and we could have taken the exact dollars here, we could have paid for 1 year of a superstar player at the top of the game, which you can't sign the guys for 1 year, or a relief pitcher for 4 years probably, which is probably the reality. So I think that's one misperception. 2, you know, our partnership with our concessionaire, Delaware North, you know, they're funding a lot of the project. It's still privately funded. It's not coming out of fans' pockets, but the way our deal was structured with them, they're funding, more than half of the project as well. So, and 3, we've got money we set aside for capital expenditures, largely maintenance of the ballpark, that we're moving towards building and improving the ballpark, over this period of time. So really, it doesn't come from the same source on multiple levels. And 2, even if it was able to be moved to player budget, that's not the area that would make the biggest impact. It's going to make a bigger impact to our fans on what we're doing out here.
Payoff pitch. Weekly bounce to first. Aguilar to McAllister, and the season is over. The final game of the 2014 season was Sunday, September 28th. The very next day, demolition commenced. The countdown clock to opening day 2015 started ticking.
Started this project with a goal to transform Progressive Field. The first step was seat removal, and then the heavy equipment came in with the massive demolition. We started removal of the mezzanine 9 rows, and all the masonry was demolished and hauled out. We have 20 local subcontractors, which are all union, and we've averaged anywhere between 400 to 500 people a day, but that varies throughout the schedule. In the daily meetings, it's daily coordination, it's logistics. Each day we sit down as a group. It's a team concept to work through any open-ended questions or challenges, and we address those each day. I think we should all be excited for the future of Cleveland and enjoy not only the ballpark, but a team that is performing well on the field. First day here at the ballpark was wow. One of the first demolition items was to move Bob Feller and Jim Tomey. We actually shut down 9th Street and had them driven down with an excavator down to the players' parking lot where they rest today, and they'll be placed back. This was going to be something big and exciting for the fans for the next ball season.
There are a multitude of challenges. One, I think the easy answer to that is you involve the fans in the process. So what we did was go look for a matter of 2 or 3 years, go and look at every stadium, ballpark, arena, in the country, internationally, who's doing it well, where are the trends, where are our gaps, where are we missing, and then we came back to Cleveland. Does that apply to Cleveland? Because we have to be true to the Cleveland market. And then once we had ideas, we rolled them out to focus groups, we rolled them out to surveys and said, what do our fans think about that? And then we balance that with how does this fit with what our fans will think in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, because we don't want this to be outdated the day after we do it. And that's a great challenge. That takes some people far more intelligent than me to kind of think about things and understand where entertainment's going, where ballparks and sports entertainment landscape is really progressing to.
One of the first pieces to be removed was the footbridge linking the Gateway East parking garage to the upper level in right field.
People are entering the park in different ways now, whereas a lot of people came through Gate A just out here by the queue and that main plaza. You're finding that a lot of people are starting to seep into the stadium from the surrounding communities because people are living downtown. And so that affects sort of how you address the perimeter of the building and how people come to the building itself and how they encounter the ballpark. And I think that's a lot of why Gate C over here is getting the kind of attention that it's getting, is because we're starting to see people using the park differently and starting to open it up to that kind of encounter.
There are many unique characteristics to the redesign of Progressive Field. The first noticeable feature is the new look Gate C entryway into the ballpark.
To my right is the first gate portal, and moving to the left, we'll have 6 new entrances where fans will enter the ballpark. Out to the front towards East 9th, we'll have Bob Feller, and Jim Thome, and a future statue off to the left, and this will be the main entrance coming off 9th Street.
The open design concept on the northeast corner where the street meets the gates provides a wide vista into the park.
As I started to look at the game maybe more holistically, more completely, and looked at the business side and looked at the sports entertainment side and looked at the media landscape and started to think about the game in maybe different ways than I had. And as we started to have some attendance challenges and really thinking about competing in a smaller market and creating a more compelling environment, and then thinking just, hey, they're not watching the game on TV the way they did when this ballpark opened. Standard definition television in 1994, you know? Easy to say I want to be there instead of watch that little fuzzy ball on TV when you can't even track it. I think the one thing we clearly learned, you know, where there were some major discrepancies in this ballpark. One, it's too big. All ballparks are 15% smaller today than they were in 1994. So not just for our market, but in general, as Atlanta undertakes the new construction of a ballpark, it's going to be about 15% smaller than their current one. And similar things were done even in the largest market. So, you know, looking for the right size and how do we do that in a way that, again, doesn't change the overall feel and look of the building. Two, fans want to interact with each other. That, you know, when this ballpark was built, you know, people largely watched the game the same way. So whether they, even though they had different vantage points, they had a scorecard, they had a pencil, they watched the game, they sat in their seat. Now people want to get up, they want to move around, they want to sit in their seat for 2 innings, they want to go someplace where a bunch of their friends are or their neighborhood is or, you know, their community is, and they want to interact and watch the game from a different vantage point where they can talk to each other. 3, they might want to go do something technologically and interact technologically, and or they might want to have a place to take their kids so their kids can enjoy the experience and not just feel pinned down in a seat. So we look for very targeted, focused areas where we could develop opportunities for our fans to see the field from greater vantage points, to move around during the game, and to still maybe come back to a seat they have some history in and feel tied to, but to experience the ballpark in different ways that are more reflective of the way people consume, you know, sports entertainment now.
Perhaps the most unique components of the makeover are the bullpens. No longer tucked into the right field corner, both bullpens are now stacked together in an elevated setting beyond the center field wall.
Part of the project was unique seating experiences for the fans. So you see right now we're installing the first 3 rows of seating, which is actually right in front of the Cleveland Indians bullpen. You can see the pitchers will be throwing to the north towards Heritage Park. Off to the left, you start seeing the drink shelf, which will be a standing room, drink area, and some new seating that goes down through the right field corner. The existing visitor bullpen has been filled in. This is going to be a new staircase leading down to the field level for any general ticket to actually enjoy the old visitor dugout seating area for the bullpen.
The significance of this for Cleveland, for anybody who lives in Cleveland, is pretty profound. Sort of the reinvention of the relationship of the ballpark with the city. And the changes that have happened in the city over the better part of the last 10 to 15 years have been phenomenal. And this is sort of a culmination of a lot of that, I think, coming together and marrying itself to the way that people interact with the park, interact with the team. I think is part of the big objective of this is, you know, blurring that line between public space and private space and really enhancing the experience for everybody.
With a limited window of time to ready Progressive Field for opening day, construction was slowed by the brutal Cleveland winter. 13 days of sub-zero temperatures made Cleveland's winter of 2015 the coldest on record. The Arctic February freeze did not suspend work. It only necessitated some creative workarounds to maintain the schedule.
So we watch the weather every day. We're planning constantly. Schedules change. It's a fluid process. Last Saturday we poured the visitor wall. You could see the 2 new concrete walls. We had a window above 32 and we went for it.
Our biggest variable has been weather, you know, but not anything else, and because you can't control weather and you can't predict it, and we know that, you know, that's a tough job here.
So we're about 2 months away from opening day. As you can see, we've got tarps up, we have heaters going. We knew winter was coming here in northeastern Ohio. It's actually the planning that's critical. We did a lot of prefabrication off-site to avoid working in the winter. So when you look up at the upper deck, which will be the new standing room, all that was made off-site and it came out on semis and installed in place. All the interiors for the bars are being fabricated in a warehouse and they'll be brought on semis as well. So we know it's coming. We have plans in place with heaters, tarps, off-site manufacturing. So that's kind of the plan that we took to address the Cleveland winter.
I want it to be ready opening day. We've got one day in April where we've got this place packed to the gills and we showcase baseball to the city. Cleveland is an event town. Opening day is an event. It's a celebration of baseball. It's a celebration of our history. It's a celebration of our franchise's place in the community here, both today and historically. So all eyes are on us on that day. And so I'd hate to miss the opportunity to have the project complete, and I'll be obsessing over every little detail. The reality is after opening day, we have very cold weather to deal with and kids still in school in a smaller region. So we would probably, the pressure would be off us for a couple months while we finish the project if we can't get it done by opening day.
Okay, so that's a 180-degree stack over here.
With the clock ticking down towards opening day, the Indians design team chose to turn back the clock and celebrate Cleveland's historical roots. The corner location in right field is a 2-story indoor-outdoor bar incorporating a look and feel of Cleveland's rustic past combined with a taste of its ethnic neighborhoods.
So the canopy of the bar and both bars here down the lower level of the corner, Rust Belt Reclamation, a local company here in Cleveland, brought in some of the city's area. So this actual woodwork in the canopy here is from the Columbus Road Bridge down the flats. So to be able to recycle woodwork that's from the city of Cleveland, to present it here in this fashion as well as celebrate the city of Cleveland, the skyline, is pretty cool.
The neighborhood concept, which is a pretty cool one, which kind of celebrates another thing about Cleveland that's unique, is there are these incredible neighborhoods that people feel extremely strongly about and proud of, whether they visit them or live in them. And they do have associated with them, you know, certain restaurants, certain bars, certain types of food that, you know, we've come to recognize being a reflection of those areas. So it was a way to take a concept that we did discover we were missing when we went to other ballparks, and then enhance it by creating a neighborhood concept, which is uniquely Cleveland.
Isn't technology beautiful? You can now have a self-serve craft beer taps. We're actually going to have in total in the corner bar between the top level Sports Time Ohio patio and the lower level up to nearly 40 beer taps featuring a lot of local breweries. But here you're going to be able to get a card and you can do a self-serve beer tap and pour different beers. So we'll have 14 taps along this wall for the self-service wall. We'll make this place special as the district ticket that we unveiled, presented by Sports Time Ohio, is going to allow those young professionals to come in here for $13. It includes a standing room only ticket, and the first drink is on us. We're up here now in the Sports Time Ohio patio, which is the second deck, second level of the corner bar. A great opportunity here. We have tiered drink rails so you can stand over people to see the game, but the view from this rooftop patio looking in the ballpark is phenomenal. It also features a look, and you can see the Sports Time Ohio set, which will be operable during the pregame and postgame shows on Sports Time Ohio. And then right behind me, you can see They're working on right now the finishing touches of the fire pit that'll be up here on the Sports Time Ohio patio. We're in the kids clubhouse area now, which is one of the coolest amenities for families, right on the family deck, the former mezzanine level area. But this kids clubhouse is 2 stories, features a slide going from level 2 to level 1, wrapping around a baseball bat. A lot of other great amenities, such as calling a top moment on TV. You could be Matt Underwood or Rick Manning or Tom Hamilton, be the voice of the Indians calling the game. Anything from taking some photos with yourself in the Indians uniform. And right behind me, you can see a very cool interactive video locker room. Our players, we tape them in the off season where they're going to be able to give you a tour of their lockers, as well as a little history lesson here with the uniforms from the past. We're out here in the family deck area now, which is the former mezzanine level of the right field area. So while we're out here now, for kids maybe ages 5 all the way up to 14, we have some great amenities such as Sliders Field, where you can play wiffle ball. Right behind me, batting cages. We have a tribe tracker where you can test your running ability versus the Indians' actual players. The new group terrace area allowed us to do 2 different things. Number 1, now you can entertain a group inside the ballpark instead of being out in a circus tent outside the ballpark. Secondly, we've been able to celebrate the history of the Cleveland Indians with our retired uniform numbers, as well as the championship banners you can see up here. And to top that off, a phenomenal view of the city of Cleveland. Whether you're going to visit the corner bar or you're going to visit the kids clubhouse, the family deck area, the new right field district in the neighborhoods, that's all added value. So we're not looking for you to pay extra to get access to that. It's wide open. So if you have a seat behind home plate, you can access the corner bar. If you have a seat in the upper deck, if you're in a suite, it's wide open for you to come visit and be a part of the experience out here.
So opening day this year, as fans, media, the public, the ball team arrive for opening day, I think there's going to be a wow factor. I think there's been a lot of buzz about what's been going on behind the gates here at Progressive Field. And I think people are going to be taking a stroll through the concourses to see each one of these unique seating areas, whether it's kids clubhouse, the bar, the upper deck, the bullpens. I think there's a lot to be seen as you stroll through the concourses here at opening day. I actually live downtown, so you could see the city change and the excitement and the buzz around town of the energy of new projects and the young generation moving downtown. I think we should all be excited for the future of Cleveland, and this project's kind of an anchor to the corner of 9th Street and tying into the Euclid corridor.
We had to create, something that was more compelling, something that really said to people, I want to be there. I've got a great ability to watch the game at home. That's an alternative, but it's also special to come down to the ballpark. And that really was the motivator for us, that how can we look at the ballpark and look at the most opportunistic areas, and really center field, right field became those areas where we can not do anything to violate what makes it so incredible, but enhance it and adapt it to the next generation of fans.